Hey yo, welcome to the wonderful world of Hungry Heath. I am not a classically trained chef. What I am is a self-taught home cook. I have studied under several television chefs. I have a PhD from YouTube University and a black belt in Google Food. I love to cook. The only thing I love more than cooking is my wife, the sensational Shelly Eats Steak. She loves chauffeuring me around. This is going to be another one of my wonderful updates on that groovy thing I have called MS. So far, I'm dealing with it. It's still a little bit of a hassle, though.
Oh.
I don't want to, cry over spilled beans or whatever they call it, but it is what it is. I'm managing it. As long as I stay on program, everything's going to be all right.
What hassles are you having? Anything?
The fact that I have it.
Oh, the fact that you have it. Well, because people want to know when you're like, oh, I have some hassles. They're like, what's that?
Yeah, my main hassle is that I even have it to begin with, and I have to kind of watch my diet. That's what bothers me.
Oh?
Well, because I can no longer have peanuts. I love peanuts and peanut butter.
Yeah.
And then we figured out I'm allergic to almonds. So, I never really craved them. But so many keto recipes lean on almonds and almond flour, so...
But, you know what? Silver lining, and everything. I think because we found that out, then we found out that pork panko or pork rind crumbs really works well
as a substitute. Equal 1-to-1.
And we're finding that more and more people, since, you start talking about, hey... I really can't have almonds, and I know if I have too much, it'll definitely inflame me. That other people are saying the same thing, and I think that kind of goes back to sometimes in keto because we've eliminated all of the processed foods and flours, glutens, grains, bad seed oils. That sometimes mentally we're like, oh, I'm doing without all this other stuff, so I need to replace, or I need to find a copycat of this or that, and, oh, look, almond flour works great, or we got to come up with some kind of flour so we can still bake all the stuff that made us sick. And then, guess what? We go overboard, because I think that's a lot of our personalities is, it's like, oh, well, one donut won't do, but a box might. And, I think that kind of happened with almond flour and even cauliflower. So sometimes things that we find in the keto community that would be keto, maybe in small amount. Oh, there's a little dog. Oh, it's okay.
Right here next to us, we're at a stoplight by the gas station, and a dog just went running by the median here.
I'm good. He's staying out. Poor thing. But I think a lot of us in the keto sphere, we latch on to something because mentally we think we're so restricted, right? We're like, oh, we don't get all this other stuff, or I can't, and we restrict ourselves so much that we lean on certain things to replicate the things that made us sick. And it's like, why are you going to do that? If you were with some toxic person in your life, you're not going to try to replicate because, well, there was some things I liked about it. No. You have to cut the cord. I'm somewhat of a smart aleck sometimes. I don't know if y'all noticed that before. But some people will come to me and ask me for advice on how to do keto or whatnot and tell me all the struggles they're having with it because they can't have this, can't have that. And I'm like, well, you know what? The way I look at it, I can eat anything I want to. I really can. I just choose not to eat certain things because I know what it does to me. Yeah. So I think it's just all in your mindset. Yeah, it really is. It's a mental mindset, because if you go in, and I'll see this a lot on other channels' lives, is I'll see people who are like, oh, yeah, it's just so restrictive to be keto, or I can't have all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, but look at what before, most of us have dieted our whole lives, right? And you're like, oh, well, before I would say, well, I could only have cabbage soup this week, or I can only do this week. And then you go on keto, and I personally don't find it that restrictive. Yeah, you can't have all the poison anymore. Oh, boo-hoo. We're not having poison. But you can have bacon. Eggs. That sounds so horrible. I know. Butter. Things that traditionally we were told our whole lives we could not
It should not.
And should not, or at least very minimal limit. And that a lot of people still say that. Limit your red meat. Guess what? I could have red meat 3 times a day, 7 times a week. How is that restrictive? Ask your normal person on a SAD and say, yeah, I'm having steak. And, oh, I couldn't do that. Or, oh, I can't have red meat. My doctor told me to limit that. So
Fire that doctor.
Right. So every food has some type of limitations, right? Because like someone said they can't eat pork. They're allergic to it. Well, are you going to be like, well, I can't eat it, but I'm going to go to anyways because since I can't, I got to do it, even though it's bad for me.
Right.
That's how we look at things like flours, grains, pastas, seed oils, and it's that we can't. We just know it's bad for us, and we don't want to poison ourselves.
Right.
And I think that's something to consider, like, a lot of people are talking about, oh, I can't go to this restaurant or that restaurant because, oh, the Outback with their rolls. I'm like,
I just don't order the rolls.
Yeah.
Same thing when I go to any of the Brazilian restaurants. They always bring you a basket of rolls. I just tell them not to.
Yeah, just tell them
You're
not
the customer. You can tell them what not to put on your table.
Yes. And my thing is, when you go to places like that, like if your whole thing is, well, when I went to Outback, like Joe said, he always ordered like the Awesome Blossom and all this, and you're like, well, I always ordered those stuff, so that's all I'm going to think of. Create a new memory.
And I think it's different for me too, because honestly, before we were keto, I don't remember going to Outback all that often. To be honest with you.
No, we did quite a bit with,
I don't remember it.
Yeah, with Linda, and then remember we went a couple times with Louie's children, his grown children. But like what I've always heard is, like, if you had a bad memory with something or something bad happened, is to change basically that memory, that association. So if you had, like if you went to a theme park and you were like, oh, when I went to this theme park when I was 9 years old, I had a traumatic experience. You kind of have to face your fear and go back and make it a positive one and replace that bad memory with something good. I mean, that I try to do that as much as possible. And yeah, it is a challenge.
You should replace that Awesome Blossom with an awesome steak.
Exactly. So when you go back, if you're like, oh, I can't eat at Outback because of that, or I can't go to Mexican because of chips, create a new memory of something you really enjoyed there. So like at Outback, I always liked their French onion soup. So when I went, I was like, look, I just don't want the bread. They did it for me. They were like, yeah, we could do that. We could leave the bread off of the French onion soup. And when we go like to the Mexican restaurant,
I just tell them, don't bring us any chips. Bring us double the
chicharrones.
The chicharrones or the salsa.
Yeah, and bring your own. If they don't have chicharrones.
Well, I will. I'll bring my own.
Yeah, we will bring our own pork rinds. And find something on there that you're like, wow, these fajitas, and you can actually really enjoy it. Because if you think about it, a lot of times when we went to Mexican restaurants, we filled up on the chips and queso and salsa.
Yeah.
And did you really get to enjoy your fajitas, or were you just kind of miserable making your way through it? Well, now you could go and actually really taste and enjoy the fajitas and the meat, and then order up lots of the meat. You could be like, look, I'm ordering fajitas for 2 for 1, you know?
Exactly.
It's just changing your perspective on when you look at things, and I think that's in the keto sphere. Instead of dwelling on the negatives of what we can't or what we lack or what we're missing out on, so to speak, look at what you're getting. You're getting your health, and for a lot of people, having your health is such a blessing, because if you have, like, I saw somebody post that said, people don't understand what it's like to be, that being able-bodied is actually a privilege. Mm-hmm. And y'all need to realize that having health is a privilege, and you're taking that step. And that's what matters, y'all. Being healthy is so much more valuable than the stupid chips and the rolls.
Because what, honestly, seems like when the list of priorities, when everybody's talking about all this stuff, their health is probably the lowest on their priority list. That's what needs to really be changed.
Yeah.
Focus on that first, and everything else will fall into place.
Exactly. That's my rant for this week.
But the main reason I was going to start this, and while we're in the car, is because about, was it 5:30 this morning when it hit? I was dead asleep. Y'all know she has to use a sleep machine. Mm-hmm. And anytime the power goes out, of course, automatically she's going to wake up. So that's why she knows what time it was.
Because my CPAP, all of a sudden, I don't get the air, and I will wake up and be like, okay, why? And then I remember this morning a couple times I was like try to blow. Sometimes if you have a CPAP, sometimes for whatever reason it might shut off, so you just have to blow back into it. And I'm like blowing, and I'm like, why isn't it coming? Why isn't it coming? And I'm like half asleep. And then finally I tried to blow in it, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I pulled up my phone, and I saw it wasn't charging or anything. I was like, the electricity must be off. And I noticed the fan was off and everything.
So I was like, well, let's go eat breakfast then. I said, because we got to leave anyway, so we get somebody some coffee. So why don't we just go get the coffee and sit down and eat? And we were going to go to this one restaurant right around the corner from us, but then she decided to go in this other joint here, which is fine. I've never been here before, so I love trying new places.
I haven't either.
This is going to be working out perfect to what we were just talking about. We can show y'all what we're going to order when we go out to eat.
Yeah, perfect. And this is a small or family-owned restaurant. That's why I wanted to try it
mom
too.
And pop?
Yeah, like a mom and pop place. So I wanted to give them a try. The other place we've been to, I don't know, the last few times we went there, which has been a few years, it was pre-C before last time we went, and we were really kind of, the service and all that. Remember they spilt like a tray of food on me or something?
No, I don't.
You don't remember that?
No. Yeah, let's not go there. That's not fun.
The things that happen. So we're here, and we'll stop recording so we go in and get seated and get Shelly some coffee, because it's already 9. So I've been up since 5:30. Y'all know I don't like to get up early, so I need coffee.
For breakfast this week, I'm having a link of sausage, my hard-boiled eggs topped with that love chamoy sauce, and a few pieces of cheese. Sunday night dinner, we're having rainbow trout with a coconut sauce. We just recorded a recipe video for this. That's why I have a half-eaten plate here. So stay tuned for that coming soon. Sunday lunch, basically having a beef soup. It's just ground beef I cooked in the Instant Pot. Trying to use it for another dish, but it didn't work out, so I'm just going to eat it like it is. I just topped it with some Parmesan cheese. I think this is actually mozzarella, and I'm having a few pork rinds with it. Monday lunch, I have a bacon cheeseburger topped with a sunny side up egg and some sauteed vegetables. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome.
The sensational Shelly Eats Steak performed some mandatory meaty meal prep for me today. There's some bacon burgers for the rest of the week. Look at that. Tex-Mex Tuesday. Tonight's dinner is a trio per se, of quesadillas stuffed with that pork butt I smoked the other day. And then I made a little sauce to dip them in, which is just sour cream, guacamole, some diced tomatoes, and a little bit of this hot sauce. Y'all, this stuff is really good and really hot. Thursday night dinner, we're having barbecued pulled pork migas. And of course, y'all, I have to add a little bit of that MCT hot sauce. Saturday brunch, I have that all meat omelet with a spring salad and some guacamole. So that was our first time ever eating at that place, I don't know if it came across earlier if we actually named it. It was Noe's Cafe. It's
Yeah.
Noe''S. So I don't know if it's No's
No.
or Noe's.
It's Noe's, because I kept saying No's, and the lady was like, so you're ordering the Noe's scrambled eggs? I was like, what are you saying? No eggs? Scrambled eggs? What? And I was like, no, this, and I pointed, and she goes, yeah, Noe's. I said, oh, I thought it was No's. And she goes, no, it's Noe's. I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, obviously I get like a +10 on my pronunciations
Reading
and things.
comprehension.
But
But,
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was really impressed with this place. It's one of the few breakfast joints we found that's actually easy to adapt and change everything. Because it came, my meal, I got the all-meat omelet, and it says all of the dishes were served with a spring mix salad, or a spring mix, and home fries. Well, then they let us substitute the home fries for guacamole. Well, you could also
avocado.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, you could substitute for fruit. Well, technically, I still did because avocado's a fruit.
Yeah, but they didn't even charge extra for that.
Right.
The fruit was like an upcharge.
Most places will.
Yeah, and we looked, because he was like, well, you know, if it's just berries. No, the fruit was banana, pineapple, was it melon, and what was the other?
You looked, I don't know.
The green one. What was that? That's melon. What's
Green.
the orange one? Cantaloupe.
Cantaloupes. Oh,
Yeah.
I used to love cantaloupes too, though.
But as you
Sugar,
see,
sugar.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, none of those are.
Keto friendly.
Yeah, like I don't want to have all of that. So,
Now we're pulling into Dutch Bro because she just had her coffee, and now we're getting another coffee.
well, yeah, you can't have too much. But anyways, so, and then what we'd like too is a lot of breakfast place automatically you get toast, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get toast, like they don't do that. I mean, I guess they do on other things.
They have sandwiches, and
Yeah.
you can order stuff. They had pancakes.
And waffles.
Yeah,
Like
and
they
you
had
could-
chicken and waffles, which
Right.
I used to love.
Right.
But,
I'm just really impressed. I didn't have to tell them no bread. My dinner didn't.
Yes.
I mean, my meal didn't come with it at all. It wasn't even included. And she just got a scramble, and they served it in a cast iron dish.
I
thought it was pretty
know.
neat too. I've seen that before at other restaurants, but when they bring it out, it looks like cast iron, but it's plastic.
right, or some kind of like thin metal that's not real, like it's a presentation.
Some coated stuff.
But this place,
I was really
a
impressed.
little different is you order at a counter,
Yeah, I was kind of worried about that.
and then they bring it out to you.
They give you a little flag with the number on it.
Yeah.
And then they walk it out to your table, which is, I mean, that's just awesome to me.
Right. So we got, I mean, my dish, like, when I looked over everything, yeah, again, going kind of back to what we were saying, some people would be like, oh, no, look, all the waffles and the pancakes. And, yeah, did they look good? But, again, it's the
They
mental
really
change.
didn't, honestly.
Well, some of them I thought, well,
eh.
they looked fluffy.
Yeah.
And used to, when I would want pancakes, I wanted them to be the nice,
The
fat,
big
and
stack,
fluffy.
too.
Yeah. And, yeah, it looks good, but then it's change of the mindset. So instead of being like, oh, my gosh, I can't have that, I'm like, I don't want that poison. Right? And, like,
Right.
I don't need to have that poison when I could feed my body something healthy. And they had a perfectly keto, I mean, it wasn't even labeled keto, right?
Right.
Because, again,
Those in
keto
the
is
know.
real food. Like, Heath was telling somebody on a post this morning, he eats an ancestral appropriate diet.
Yes.
So we eat
Mostly meat.
what humans have always eaten, right? And so he, the perfectly like keto meal was just scrambled eggs with butter, topped with cheddar cheese, a side of bacon, and avocado. That was it. That was the whole plate, and it was $9.99. And it looked like it was probably 3 scrambled eggs. It was, it was a hefty amount of eggs. Like, I am really stuffed from that. And then, like, when I got my coffee, I just asked to substitute, instead of, like, regular, milk or
Half and half or-
half and half, I said, do you have heavy cream? And they said, yeah, and they had other alternative milks too. So I got it substituted with heavy cream, and then they had a sugar-free amaretto, it's a Torani syrup, but So I did that. I should have asked them how many pumps because it was awfully sweet. So I should have told them next time I'll know. Just 1 pump of that, please. But again, perfectly, it was so easy to make it keto.
Yeah, and I think honestly it was a little bit maybe a cop out on our part to go out to eat this morning, because our power went out today. We could have cooked breakfast on the Blackstone, but we had to go get her coffee anyways. So if we're going out anyways, one of us had to anyways. Why not just go and get breakfast too? So and this place was awesome.
Yeah, I was excited. I've
really
looked at
impressed.
it before and thought about trying it, but usually we're like, breakfast. We usually don't get up early to eat. Me, anyways. And 2, breakfast is so easy to do at home.
Yes.
But I asked for butter, more butter, because I'm high fat, right? And I said, can I get more butter? And she brought out, and you could tell it was from a stick of butter that they sliced up.
Nice.
So I thought that was really good, that it was, real butter again.
So obviously this place gets high marks, and we will be back.
Right? Maybe.
Well, I mean, why
in a
not?
year.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I was really excited about that. What?
I was telling you before we left that I was still feeling hungry. And I said, worst case, when we get back to the house, even if the power's out, I can just have my scrambled eggs. Y'all know I'll make a big old bulk mess of them.
You mean boiled eggs?
Yeah, boiled eggs. My hard-boiled eggs, yeah. But now I'm actually starting to feel full. Just slow down, Turbo.
Yes, exactly.
I just really love to eat, y'all.
Yeah, he does.
Hungry Heath is not just a clever name. That's really what I am.
So we're in line at Dutch Bros, but overall, again, you can make it work. And I was reading something when they were talking about reorienting yourself, and I was like, that's kind of what I was just talking about.
Yes. That
basically you reprogram or reorient yourself. So if you associate, a certain restaurant with, their rolls, like Red Lobster. Oh, I can't do it because of their rolls. Reassociate yourself. Find something new that you can then be your go-to, that I'm telling you, overall, health-wise, it's going to be much better for you than the rolls.
Kind of like that one road trip we were on.
Oh, here she comes.
Well, here they come. We'll talk to y'all in a little while. So we just got her coffee and me a double ring bro.
I got toasted nitro.
Nice.
Yes. I love the nitro at Dutch Bros. And then what I really like, because normally nitro is a cold brew, but they will toast it for you. What they do is they pour it. It's actually a can that they, ship it to them in, and then they pour it in their steamer and steam it up till it's nice and really hot.
Oh, wow.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, what I was going to say was, we was on a road trip a while back, and we were at the barbecue joints, and they ended up serving us. I think we had to mix and match a couple of plates to get exactly what we wanted. Well, every one of their plates came with Texas toast, like 2 or 3 slices, it seemed like. So we ended up they served us basically a loaf of Texas toast. Yeah. Then we, of course, just stuck it off to the side. I grabbed an extra basket when we were filling everything, getting all our stuff together, and just stacked it all up in the basket. And there was a guy sitting next to me, I could tell. He was like looking at me all like crazy eyed, like, what is this guy doing? And I just shifted all away, and we just, I guess his questions got to the better of him, and he ended up just talking to me and asking me about it. He goes, what's going on here? So I explained it to him. He goes, don't you miss bread? I said, no, sir. And at that point, we'd only been like, I think maybe 2 years in or something.
Oh, not even a year.
Yeah, I was like, no, actually, I don't. I said, honestly, what had happened was, once I reversed my type 2 diabetes, that cured me of missing it. Because I'd realized, to me, it was poison.
Yeah.
So I don't need it anymore. And like I've told y'all before, my favorite foods have always been pizza, tacos, and burgers. Well, that's bread. Well, I have found new ways of eating those. That I don't miss bread anymore.
Yeah.
And the few times where I've slipped, cheated, or whatever, and I had an actual burger or actual tacos, I was not impressed. It didn't taste good to me anymore. I basically feel like I've retrained my body. I do not like bread anymore.
Right. And I like Dr. Berry says, you're become basically aligned with your ancestry. Our ancestors, basically more than 100 years ago, people were not using canola oil and soybean oil. They weren't having these, breads and pastas constantly, cheap foods, right? That y'all could watch like a documentary, and there's a couple others that explain when this all happened. It was like in the 70s when they were trying to basically come up with a way to prevent people from starving.
Yes.
And so, yeah, and even Dr. Berry said, yeah, if you are starving and all you can get is a bag of rice, then yeah, that's what you're going to eat. But otherwise, if you're not, which, I mean, I feel like we're privileged that we're not. We're privileged that we could go to a grocery store and get meat at a good price. And yeah, I feel like that's a privilege. And so if you're privileged, think of it this way. Those foods, that's for people who are starving. That's for, as a last-ditch effort to keep you alive. Why would you want to feel like you're missing out on something like that when you can eat really good meat that has always been considered something that is for a more well-to-do person?
Right.
You're well-to-do now. If you can eat off of meat all the time, you're a well-to-do person.
And people start complaining too, telling me that, you know, keto's too expensive to eat just meat and whatnot. And I was like, okay, look at it this way. You can either pay the farmer now or you pay the doctor later. Either way, you're just going to have to spend the money.
Right.
Why not just do it in the beginning?
And the thing is too, as we all know, before when we were carb heavy, we would have to eat like literally 6, 7, 8 times a day.
Yes.
Is it really cheaper when you're having to eat so often and having to buy so often? Yeah, so you get a loaf of bread for $2. I don't even know what it is nowadays. But then that bread, how long does it last you? You're not getting like several meals that you feel full at. But then we went and got a brisket for $2 a pound.
Yes.
You can survive off a pound of meat a day and do, you know, pretty okay. And
then also, like when I went and bought the brisket yesterday, I compared it. I paid $39 for a whole brisket. I don't even remember the exact size it was, but I just remember the other day when we went to Pinkerton's, we paid about that much for a pound of brisket.
Oh yeah.
So I got a whole brisket for the cost of what it cost, you know, for what it is to go out to eat and order a pound.
Right.
So to me, it's a win-win.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little work for me to cook it, but.
And I think that's the thing. If you're new to keto and you're like, oh my gosh, it just seems like so much money.
So daunting.
Remember, you're not having to eat so many times a day. Like, there are a lot of people, and there's still several days I only eat one time a day, and that's sufficient. So when you look at how much you're spending versus how often you're actually having to eat, because you eat until you're full. So it actually ends up, I find our grocery bills actually gone down.
Yeah, and I've said it, mentioned it several times before too, that I feel like we have less waste now too. So if I'm not throwing away stuff, I am saving money, because that means I didn't buy stuff to just throw it away.
Yeah.
Because we have 3 trash cans in our garage, and I typically put out 1 can once a week, where I used to put out 3 cans twice a week.
Yes. So yeah, I think it's just kind of, at first you think it's a sticker shock, because it's such a mind change to go from, well, yeah, you're supposed to have 3 meals a day and 2, 3 snacks a day, and you think
that's marketing. That's all that is.
Right. But then if you did buy all that stuff, snacks are never cheap.
No.
And so it's a mindset, because you're going in saying, oh my gosh, this meat, you know, it's, you know, $5, $6, $7, $10 a pound.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that's so high. But you're not having to eat 3 times plus snacks a day. So what all you spent on that versus now this, and then you're forgetting the valuable and almost immeasurable amount that you're saving in your health.
Yes. Because
you're not having to be on prescription medications, and you're not going to end up in the hospital more than likely. And
another NSV for me.
Oh?
Because I lost all that weight, right?
Yeah.
Well, now I don't have to spend as much when I do buy clothes.
Yeah.
I don't have to buy the oversized, you know, the big, I still buy the big and tall stuff, because I am still big and tall, but I don't have to spend as much. I've noticed that, like, when I buy a new shirt or a new pair of pants or something like that, they are cheaper now.
Yes.
So I'm saving money there as well.
Well, and like, I know a lot of people who have gotten closer to a standard weight, you know, like for me, always being a big person, I would go thrift shopping with my friends and family. 90% of the time I couldn't find anything for me because a lot of the thrift stores, it was basically a large on down. They didn't have sizes bigger than a large or bigger than a 16, 18, right?
Yeah, when I went with you and looked in the men's section, I saw the same thing.
Right. But then as you drop your weight and get healthy, guess what? You can now go to thrift stores and save even more. And like with also what Heath was saying, because he had to go to the big and tall, well, at one point he was wearing an 8XL.
Yes.
Well, wearing that, guess what? They were hardly ever in the clearance section, except if you wanted, like, was it trash pickup orange?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, so those were hardly ever, because like at one store they actually told us they had a gentleman that as soon as they got any 8XLs in,
yanked them.
He was right there and buying all of them.
I had to start ordering them online from them.
Yeah, because it was such a hard size. Right. So you never get those discounted. Well, now, since he's down to a 2X and 3X, depending on his mood for the day, we can find plenty of those in the clearance section.
Yes. The only problem with that, and I know it's probably just first world problems, they're mostly in red. For some reason, they always have lots of red. And I just have a little PTSD with red, because the last company I used to work for, that was the department color.
Oh, you're like, I don't work for them no more.
Right. And we used to tease all the time, they only made us wear red because we were the firefighters.
Right.
So, anyways, but now we're just ranting. We're almost to the house. We got to check on the dogs. And they said that our power's back on, so maybe we can get a couple things done before we got to go out again tonight, because we have reservations for dinner tonight.
Yes.
So.
But hopefully, y'all, let me know your opinion. Again, I just really wanted to get out there to help people change their mind shift.
Yes.
Instead of focusing on the I can't or the negative or what's holding you back, change it. Like, change that thought process. Change it from, oh, I can't, or that triggers me, and instead be like, you know what, but I get to have this.
Because I had way back when, I had a youth minister. His whole thing was, you don't have to, you get to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I still kind of apply that approach to her. I can't have that, but I get to have this.
Yes, exactly.
Just focus on what you do get to have.
Yeah, like if we go to Outback, we get to have some freaking good steaks.
Yes.
And last time we went there, I mean, our preferred is Saltgrass because we're Landry's members.
Yeah.
But when we
earn points every time we eat there. That's why we like going.
So that's usually why we go there. But when we went to Outback last time, they were so accommodating.
Mm-hmm.
And like, she went and checked everything. I said, look, we've got, a gluten allergy, and we, can't have these oils. And so she went and talked to the chef and got everything right for us.
Because I notice a lot of folks are kind of timid or kind of scared or reluctant, I guess a better word, to ask to do substitutions.
Yeah.
You got to remember, though, the way I look at it anyways, one, the worst thing they're going to do is tell you no. Two, it's your money. You're the one paying for it. They need to reach you.
Yeah.
If they want you to come back, because you got to remember, they're in business to make money. So they're going to do everything they can to keep you satisfied and keep you coming back.
Yes.
Keep that in mind when you go to order.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's your plate, you're eating it. They need to do it your way.
Yes.
I know that sounds a little egotistical or something, but that's the way it needs to be.
Yeah, that's how I feel when we go out places. Is, within moderation. I'm not going to go to a Chinese restaurant and expect them to make me a burger.
Right.
But most places are.
That's why we always do our research too,
Yeah.
and look at the menu first and see what we'll be able to.
And I've called restaurants before ahead of time. Like, if I am going to meet some friends and I'm looking over and I'm like, oh, I don't know, can they do this or that? Call. To me, it's easier, especially if you have confrontation issues. It's easier to call them and ask, because you know they're not like seeing you, right? And so you could call
and you're not making a scene at the table.
Right, and you could call and say, look, I just have some allergies. That's how I always tell people. I have allergies, because then, like, I think at Outback, they were like, okay, we scrubbed a place on the grill so that make sure there's no gluten. I was like, oh, felt a little bad. But, I mean, I feel like I do have a gluten allergy, because
anytime you eat it, you have an outbreak. So,
yeah,
to me, that's an allergic reaction. Somebody's telling me I wasn't allergic to carbs. I said, oh, okay. Well, when I ate the way I did, I developed diabetes. So to me, that's an allergic reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm just churching it up, but
yeah, I agree.
That's the way that's the way my mindset is.
So just like call a restaurant and say, look, I was looking at this, but you know, I can't have gluten and I'm allergic to soy, so I need to make sure you're not using, I'm allergic to soy and corn, and so I can't have canola oil, soybean oil, and they'll just tell you straight up. And then you know ahead of time, like if there's some place like Texas Roadhouse and they're like, well, we use soybean on everything.
That's why we just don't go there anymore.
Right. We never go there. We've only been one time, and that was with a group of people last year for the cruise. But you basically decide, okay, am I going to accept that, you know, this is going to be something that could probably make me sick, and either go with it or do like other people have said and just eat you a meal before you go, and when you get there, order you a tea or water and just say, oh, I just want to hang out with y'all. Isn't that what we're here for?
Right.
And don't make a big deal out of it. Just say, yeah, I ate already earlier today. You know, I don't want to be sick, and I know the soybean oil always makes me sick, because like for me it does. Like if I have soybean or canola, like I don't want to end up being in the restroom for the next couple hours.
Right.
So just
then who you get to hang out with.
Right. So it isn't, don't always like tell your friends, oh, well, I can't have this stuff. Be like, well, I've noticed when I have it, I end up really sick, and I want to really enjoy my time with y'all and not end up having to go to the restroom because I get sick from it. And then, you know, your friends and your family, they don't want you to be sick, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, I didn't know it was like that.
Not the ones that care about you anyways.
Right, if they care about you. I mean, if they're like, well, no, you should have it anyways, they'd be like, and if they even come at you and say, well, you used to eat it all the time, and say, yeah, you remember?
That's how I knew I got sick.
Yeah, and say, and remember how bad I felt all the time? Like, now I feel really good, and I don't want to go back to feeling bad or back on medications. I feel like I'm improving my health, and I feel so much better, because like we do, like we feel so much better. I don't want to go back to feeling like crap all the time, so I don't want to introduce the stuff that made me feel that way.
Right.
All right, so
we've rambled.
Of course.
There's going to be more coming, because like I said, we're going to dinner this evening. We'll show you all of that, and then we'll go from there. We got to get inside, check on the dogs, and see if that power's actually back up.
Well, let's see.
I don't have it connected.
Oh, all right.
Remember, I had to bypass the garage door opener so we can go manually on it so we can get in and out. So I got to go open everything up and get us in.
All right.
We're at Perry's Steakhouse and Grill, starting with an appetizer of turtle soup. And of course, they give us the little sherry to add to it, so of course I'm going to add it. Make sure every drop goes in. And this is gluten-free and no rice in it, y'all. It's our seasonal soup. I'm really excited about this. I haven't had turtle soup in forever. And look at this beauty. And now my entree. I got the kebab symphony, and it comes with some shrimp and lobster also, and a couple of dipping sauces. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I'll have it listed down below.
It's Hunger Heath after hours.
We just finished our dinner at Perry's Steakhouse. Y'all, that was amazing. And if you saw at the very beginning of the video, that was them making my plate for me. That was a nice little presentation.
I was a little
jealous.
Honestly, a little bit, but mine was freaking incredible.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I enjoy our steaks, but just something about eating out and having this is an upscale steakhouse, y'all. It's.
They have I was gonna say curfew, not a curfew. They have a dress code. I'm not allowed to wear a ball cap. It's kind of funny because I saw 2 people walking around wearing cowboy hats.
Well, yeah.
So you can come in costume, but not in a ball cap.
We are in Texas, so that is Texas decorum, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm a little dressed up here.
It reminds me too. One of the cabinet companies I used to work for, one of my supervisors said he was making fun of one of the guys for wearing his cowboy getup, and he's like, tomorrow I'm just gonna dress up like a ninja since we're coming in costume.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, it was so good, y'all. So we did have the turtle soup.
Yes, that's the main reason why we went.
Yes.
She saw an ad online saying that they had it back for seasonal. So
we're on their email list.
Yeah.
And so
that'd be online.
Oh really?
Yeah.
No, they send it via snail mail to the email. Boy, somebody's being sassy tonight. But yeah, we went for the turtle soup, and it was so good, and it was very, very meaty. There was also chunks of andouille in there, a little bit of onion, bell pepper. It was really freaking good. And then
they actually called it a gumbo.
Yeah, they did call it gumbo.
But I didn't get any okra.
Well, because they put filet in it. So, but it was gluten-free and no rice, so I was really happy about that. And then we, with our entrees, we shared some sherried mushrooms, y'all. Look, I even got earrings on and got my makeup going. And those were fantabulous.
They really were.
Like, the way they do it, like, I have to figure out how they do that, because the mushroom is still very meaty, but, like, tender. I mean, they were just freaking delicious.
Yes.
And then for my entree, I got the filet Perry. So you can either get a 6 or an 8 ounce. So I did the 6 ounce, which I'm really glad I did, because I am, like, way full.
Yeah.
I got the 6 ounce filet, and they top it at Oscar style, which is the lump crab meat and Perry's steakhouse butter. So it looked like it was like a garlic butter. And
you're going to see pictures and a better video of that meal on her Warden Report later this week.
And then and it came with steamed asparagus. Yes. So I was happy about that, because then we didn't have to order another side, right?
Right.
And it was so good. And I asked for extra butter, of course. And oh my gosh, the filet. Oh, and the filet was wrapped in bacon.
She forgot it was wrapped in bacon until it was delivered.
Yeah, and I was like, bacon! Surprise bacon! It was so tender. The steak, I was just cutting off one bite at a time and just savoring every single bite. It was that freaking delicious. I was out of this world. So freaking good. And the service, every time we've gone to a Perry's, and I know they're in other states, so there's one in Alabama, one in Tennessee, and Nashville, and I feel like I think there's 1 or 2 in Chicago, of course, state capital, and then there's several throughout Texas, every major city. So, the service has always been impeccable. We always go for a birthday, a special occasion, right? And this month we're doubling down on every weekend as a special occasion. And
that's why today was a twofer. This is the second time we've gone out to eat.
I know. We did not plan on breakfast today.
Not at all.
But
we had a lot of things to do today.
Yeah.
And they all got put aside because of the AC, not air conditioning,
electricity.
But the electrical.
But thankfully breakfast is generally pretty inexpensive.
Yes.
But
at least we found a new place too.
Oh yeah. But Perry's, the service has always been impeccable. Yes. I mean, just top notch, very on point. I mean, these are people who are probably waiter as a career.
Right.
Because it was actually at the Perry's in downtown Houston that our waiter, we were talking to him, and he said he was actually had a degree as a engineer.
Yeah.
And he makes 6 figures
As a waiter.
as a waiter at Perry's.
Yeah.
6 figures, y'all.
As a waiter.
I know. I was like, oh, well, thank you. But anyways, so that's just really good service. This guy was outstanding. Of course, his name was Jay, and every Jay I've ever known has always been a really great guy. And and then at one point, so what you saw where they were doing that at the beginning, and I got most of it. I did get the first part where he put the butter, when it started like getting that butter all melted down in the dish.
That means we got to come back and do it again so we get the full video. Maybe tomorrow night.
The manager came and just came up to Heath and thought he was going to ask him about my birthday. And instead the manager's like, oh, sir, are they still working on getting your plate? Like, he was all concerned because my plate was sitting in front of me, but nothing in front of Heath. And he's like, yeah, they're making it. Then the manager's like, oh, okay, good.
At least he's checking on us.
Yeah.
Because like you said, the service is good, so it's from the top down.
Yes. And I heard the waiter telling the other couple that they actually have people who come in. He said there was one gentleman that comes Thursday through Saturday because they have a different special each of those days, and he'll come all 3 days, and that he actually goes around, and if he sees an interesting couple, he'll sit with them and chit chat with them and end up like buying their meal.
Whoa!
And he's like our number one customer, that he spends so much money there because he does this every week.
I want to go. I want a dinner with him.
I know, right? We're not interesting enough.
I guess not.
Because I don't even know if he was there, but yeah. It was really good. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
It was another awesome date night.
Oh, huh?
What do you think was your favorite date night we've had this month?
Wow.
Like, as far as,
I don't know.
Because we went to that keto restaurant, which I do like.
Probably was that one.
Oh, really? Over Perry's?
Well, maybe because everything there is keto. I mean, the other night was pretty well keto.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was perfectly keto. Yeah. It's just that isn't advertised as keto.
Right.
I mean, this was a little more expensive than the one.
I don't know. The other ones, they're pretty proud of their stuff too.
Oh yeah, they are. Gosh, it's so hard, and I feel like this place is pretty romantic. Even though they had a full house, y'all. Like
super busy.
I think they had full reservations.
Yeah. Oh, and then they're doing a special for Valentine's. We're gonna book on that too. He told me to hurry up and get it booked up.
Well, what they do is on Valentine's, it's a prefix menu, right? And he said if you let them know ahead of time, hey, I have dietary restrictions, so I can't have the mashed potatoes. Can I sub asparagus? He said usually if you let them know ahead of time, they will make that swap for you. And I've seen on when they do these like special dinners, I've seen before where they'll say instead of dessert, you can swap the dessert for another side.
Oh. I
didn't check the Valentine one, but the Valentine one, if you go on Valentine's weekend, it's $79 per person. But if you go the next Sunday, the 19th, then it goes down by $10 per person. So it'd be $69 per person.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll have to look at the menu. Again, I know the turtle gumbo is on that.
Yeah, that's why I was looking at it, honestly.
Yeah, so your appetizer is either a soup or a salad, and they listed the turtle gumbo, so at least they're planning to have that through February 19th. And then, I forget the different entrees. I know it was mostly steaks. And then I think it does have a dessert, so we'll have to see. Because then I feel like I don't want to pay. I know one of the desserts was strawberries, so I wonder if we could just get strawberries with like a whipped cream or something.
Right.
We'll have to look at it again and just see. But yeah, so I don't know. What do y'all think? Should we do that for Valentine's, or should we cook a romantic meal for two.
We could
at
do
home.
both. We could do that on the 14th and do the restaurant on the 19th.
What do y'all think? I need your opinions.
That's going to be the comment we need this week.
Yeah, that's the comment. At home or Perry's? We'll see which one wins. That's what we'll do.
I already know who's going to win. I've already booked the appointment.
Oh, really?
That's what I was doing in the bathroom.
Uh-huh. Well, you could always cancel things.
I don't know how to do that. My phone's broken.
Oh, I know how to do it. My phone works very well.
Boo hoo hoo.
Well, thank y'all so much.
It was fun tonight.
The night's still young. Thank y'all so much for watching to hear. I hope you enjoyed hearing our rants and all his wonderful food. And then don't forget,
Every Friday night, 6:30 Central, we'll go live for the Friday night feast. We'll cook up an entree, maybe a couple little snacks, show y'all how we do it. Then we spend the rest of the evening just chewing the fat with all of our friends in Hungry Horror. Hope y'all can tune in sometime. We'd love to have you over for dinner. Even maybe meet you at Perry's.
probably not.
Who knows?
Well, stay tuned to see a wonderful listing of all of our amazing channel members. Thank you all so much for all your support. We really appreciate it. Bye.
Good night.